Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Some Random Guy Speaks. I am your host, Tony G, and we're about to get started today. You know, I wanted to apologize yesterday about the bad audio. I went back and listened to it. I said, you know what, I'm just going to decide to keep it up there and things. But yeah, I welcome you guys, man. Welcome to the channel and things. Thanks for showing up. We got a lot to talk about today. Boy, we're going to be covering, man. We're going to be covering a topic that's going to be so controversial, so sensitive, a lot of victimhood out there too. You know, we're going to go and cover it and things. So I'm going to wait for you guys to come on in and, that way we'll go ahead and get started. I hope everyone is having a wonderful morning as well as the weekend. It officially started. Today is Saturday. The January the 3rd already, 2026. Got to get used to saying that, you know? So, yeah, so I always want to give a shout out for, people that coming into the channel once again. Yep, and for Christmas, I got an iWatch, man. You know what? I never owned an iWatch before. But I finally got it and things from my mother, Yeah, shout out to the moms out there as well, too. Thanks, man. She got me an iWatch. Isn't that nice, Yeah, I don't ask for very much, but yeah, and I'm wearing it proud today. Yeah, I'm in the middle of doing some rearrangements, so this is why I don't have the camera on right now, but it's all good. As promised, I'm going to still deliver top quality audio besides the video. Boy, man, that video, man, it does sound like I was talking in a tin can, echoing and everything. It was horrible. So I apologize to you guys once again. I should have checked. It was a setting that I messed up on, but I'm getting it together though. I'm getting it together, and it's a different format. But as I'm tweaking things, I said I'm going to come up here and talk to you guys on StreamYard right now. And pretty much I got the bugs out on the other format, So, yeah, so that's the thing about it. Let me see here. I got a notification. Got to get used to the iWatch, man, or the Apple Watch. I'm not used to it yet, but it's all good. I hope you guys are having a great day. We're going to be talking about a topic today. And things. So it look like I'm gonna be on my own for right now. The mods will show up later on, though. Not that I need them right now, because this is a topic that we have to talk about it, right? But before I do, a lot going on in the news, right? We're talking about Trump, right? Trump is gonna make news, man. You know what I'm saying? And he did his thing, though, It says here, in I'm getting my information from Ground News. Excuse me. So Ground News delivers what I call, you get articles that are written from the left. It gives you the sources like Reuters and a few other ones, Politico, a lot of your left-leaning rags, right? And then we have the center, which is independent, journalists, as well as from the right. Now, you know me, I slant more towards the right, sometimes the center, depending on what it is, but never the left, So therefore, let's go ahead and talk about it. So U.S. will be strongly involved in Venezuela's oil industry. Trump says after Maduro captured. So he went in there, captured Maduro. Shout out to Donald Trump and this administration for having the balls, having the gall, and the nerve to do what needed to be done. Now that oil has been captured and things like that, and then what they're also going to be doing under the Trump administration is that they will be temporarily running the country until they can get the democracy thing set up, for people to be able to vote in their voting process. A lot of the Venezuelans are celebrating Trump. Wow. Which is true. Not that I'm surprised, but I'm happy for them. Because the Venezuelans have been under dictatorship, under rule for so long, right? That the people are rejoicing. We already know that they're with the cartel, that's one of their strongholds there, So we're not going to let the left-leaning crap stuff deter or to spin what is really going on. And for us that know, especially with MAGA, we know that Trump, it ain't just making America great. He's going after the global terrorists or global, what we call the deep state, right? And this is a hit on their criminal operations when it comes down to the drugs. Because we have to keep in mind, when Biden was the president, you didn't hear anything about this. You know why? Because I can go out on a limb, but allegedly under the Biden administration, we know that they had a lot to do with the cover-ups in regards to the drugs. You never seen a president go to war with the cartel, declared them as what? A national terrorist, right? And look what Trump has done. He went into Venezuela, captured the evil dictator Maduro, right? This is Maduro, yeah. So he captured him, got him together, got him out of there, right? Now the United States is controlling. You know what this means? He was going to bring the oil prices down anyway, but it's going to give leverage. See, what the stupid on the left don't realize is what Trump is doing is that he's pushing out the threats from the deep state puppets that are in these countries, right? That we're talking about right now in South America, since they're closest to us. It makes sense to push your enemies out because it's too close to America, right? And we will get Greenland. That's going to happen, right? But talking right now, this is what this is about, ladies and gentlemen. This is about neutralizing threats to the United States as well as to the world. China and them have to retreat. China was trying to get a hold of that. I believe they were over there in Venezuela, a lot of these Latin countries. But now they're being pushed back. You know why? Because we have a president in our modern time that has the balls and the gall and the nerve to push back on China. People said it wasn't possible, but look at what Trump has done. We are now respected in China as well as around the world. This thing is about a deep state threat that has been lingering, as well as the fact that it has been one of these things, right, that has been a threat to the American people, right? We look at the drugs, the cartel, trafficking, they're going after everything. This is bigger than Epstein. You see what I'm saying? This is a global hunt. Now that Trump is the hunter, and they know it. That's why you're seeing people trying to get out of America that were responsible for doing wrong. So I wanted to touch and talk on that one and things. So yeah. So therefore, this is exactly what is going on. So some of you guys may or may not know. Let me repeat myself again. This is a what we call a national, right? This is what we call a national threat to America with its enemies in these countries. You name it. You name our Latin countries. Corruption. They put these puppet so-called presidents like Maduro. They put them in here purposely to do the bidding of the deep state. That's all they are. This is one of the reasons when you go into these countries, right? The countries that are not very much developed, and there's a reason why the countries are not very much developed, because the people do not have the say so, just the dictators. A lot of these guys are dictators. El Salvador is cleaned up a whole lot, At one time, El Salvador was very dangerous to go over there. And some places still are. But for the most part of it, you have a president and presidente in El Salvador, right? That's working with Trump. Whoever they put in there right now, he's going to be a white hat president for the people, right? Just like what El Salvador for the people. Argentina for the people. They are all going, they're going to have what we call a conservative presidency in a system of government. These people are already conservative. They just had a low-down ass dictator, right? Like these people are like Maduro and all the rest of them, right? This is what you see. You could say Starmer, Macron, you know what I'm saying? You can start naming these people. All they are is puppets for the deep state. And this is a deep state hunt. This is what this is about. This ain't about him being no damn dictator in a country. He's going after the threats. Something that Biden couldn't do. Something that Obama and the rest of them couldn't do, right? This is exactly what it is, right? So let's go ahead and we're going to go in the show in a minute. I'm just checking my comments and stuff like that, and then we'll go into the show. But yeah, that's exactly what's going on. In fact, I'm probably going to end up playing a video of Trump talking about what's going on and things like that. We just got to go on to tell it right. And that's exactly what it is. Talking about this is about oil. It's about what they have stolen from America. Do you realize what Venezuela have taken from America? And we got it back. America is on the come up, right? And we already are going towards the golden age. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. I always love the naysayers and the people that want to come in rooms and spaces like this. Now that my audio is better, I'm actually much more equipped and prepared now, as opposed to yesterday with that audio, man, it was really, really bad, But other than that, though, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go into the show. We're going to be talking about Black rage or victimhood. This is a topic that I was alluding to yesterday, and let me see here. Hold on for a minute. I just want to make sure. Okay, got it. So this is a topic that I've seen many times. I grew up in the Black community. I know what it's like very, very well. Growing up here in the streets of Detroit, I know what it is like many Black cities across the United States, So therefore, why do we argue so much with poor communications, right? This is the question too. Why is it and how is it that this is happening? But we're going to go ahead and break it down today. You know what I'm saying? So what's good, fam? Welcome to Some Random Guy Speaks. I'm your host, Tony. I'm just a regular dude with a mic trying to make sense of this world, right? If you're here, right, hit the follow button so we can keep talking. Today, we're going to dive into something that hits home for a lot of us, right? Why argue blow up so fast, right? In the low income Black neighborhoods? How is the communication skills or the lack of them feed right into negative emotions, right? Let's keep it 100. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody says one wrong word at a cookout on a porch in the group chat, boom, right? Everybody's yelling, feelings are hurt, cousins not speaking. We all know how that is for 3 years or more for some nonsense. Why do we do this, right? That's the question. Why do we do this? First thing, money stresses is loud, right? When you're low income, especially, every day is a fight. Bills, kids, jobs that don't pay enough. Lights, right? About to get cut off, right? That stress don't stay quiet. It leaks out to how we talk, how we snap at your girl because the rent is late. She snaps back because she's tired, right? Next thing, you know, right? By arguing about who left the dishes in the sink, it's never about the dishes. It's about some of the things that you hear me talking about. Second, we never learn how to talk about feelings. Growing up, what did you hear? Man up. Huh? Stop crying. Pray about it. Don't bring that weak stuff around here, right? So when we are angry, hurt, scared, or embarrassed, what do? I feel hurt. We say the F word, you, right? Or you ain't ish, right? That's the only language we were given for big emotions. And when everybody's doing it, arguments turn into battles real quick, right? Third, trust is low when you've been, let's say, let down by the system or by people, by family, sometimes even by yourself. You walk around ready for the next betrayal. This is the mindset, ladies and gentlemen, that many of us in the so-called Black community carry the burden, right? So when your homeboy, right, says something sideways instead of asking, what do you mean by that? We go straight to, you know what I'm saying, 0 to 60 or 0 to 100. You know what I'm talking about. You know, we all been there, including myself. You're coming at me like that, bro, right? Boom, arguments, negative emotions. Take it over because we're already on the edge, right? Already on the edge. Let me give you an example last week. And I'm going to use this, and I got a friend of mine named Keisha. I got to say, Keisha, if you're listening, this doesn't pertain to someone else. I got relatives named Keisha. So my cousin Keisha called me mad because her baby's daddy said he couldn't watch the kids, so she could go to work, right? She started yelling at him on the speaker, and then he started yelling back. 10 minutes later, cussing, hanging up, calling back. Nothing got solved, nothing got solved. I asked her later, what did you actually need from him? She said, I needed him to say he was sorry and figure it out. That's it. We all heard this before, right? But nobody said that part out loud. Just noise, right? So what do? Look, I'm not a therapist, first and foremost. You already know that. I'm just Tony, right? But here's 3 simple things that actually work. Let's put a pause for a minute before you go pop off. Count to 5 in your head. That little break stops the argument from going nuclear, right? Because this is important, right? I have to do this for myself. Number 2, the feeling, not the attack. Instead, you never do nothing. Try. I'm stressed and I need help, right? Sounds soft, but it works. And that's the main thing in the so-called Black community is afraid to ask for help because help means weakness. When you speak to average in the so-called black communities, having a soft voice or not being emotionally upset, they consider that soft. You notice, like brothers, we're very animated with emotions, including myself, right? And we know that this is what I call, it's something where people that can relate. It's an ethnic thing for sure. Most of us that grew up in the black communities, we understand this type of aggression. Whites and others, not so much. They said, why are you so angry? When we get upset, I'm not angry. It's like we are, though, really. But that's what it is. Lack of poor communication skills, as I alluded to yesterday with the gentleman that joined, or that was in my chat. And that was another thing in regards. That's why it compelled me to say, you know what? I'm going to talk about this. And I should have talked about this sooner, right? This is something that we need to be addressed. Blacks, people in general, we have to talk about this, right? There's an elephant in the room. We can't ignore the elephant. It's there. It's always been there, right? Number 3, ask questions. What do you mean? You mad at me? Most times people ain't trying to disrespect you. They just talking. And this is why I ask questions. I asked the question to the gentleman yesterday. What is your problem with me, right? This is a question that most the so-called black community don't ask questions like that. We have to get down to the basics for understanding. What the scripture say, for understanding comes wisdom. We have to ask the questions. It don't make you weak, but you want to just have a jealous, whatever it is, you didn't really explain it very well. And after a while, with anybody, they get frustrated because he wouldn't ask, he just speak like most people. When you're emotional, you cannot hear. I heard everything he said, but you cannot hear when you're emotionally charged up. It goes into rage, and we're going to get there. I've been practicing this myself, right? That's basically what it is. Last month, my lights, let's say this. Last month, I'm just using a hypothetical. Let's just say my lights got cut off last month, right? How is that? And I haven't been in that situation once in my life. I'm not going to kid you. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. I never forget it. I wanted to cuss out the world, right? We all been there, the electric company. Instead, I called, my mom to have her to calm me down. And it's an embarrassing thing when you had to borrow some money from family. I think my dad sent me some money, right? Right? But that's exactly what happened, though. You know what I'm saying? I remember it like it was yesterday, right? She sent it, my dad sent it, no drama, right? And I felt way better than yelling, right? And that's what we do a lot. And I'm only bringing up situations in my life that has happened to me. That's why I'm laughing now, right? And we all been there. Ain't none of us arrived. We're going to always have the emotions, right? But we have to learn discipline. Remember I said before, black men, for the most part of it, we have a low-level respect of one another. This is a fact. I'm not even talking about black women right now. I'm talking about black men right now. We have a low level of respect of each other. We have poor communications as well. This is why the black rage still exists. I see it in the chat rooms. I see it everywhere. These are facts. This is the reason why right now. Other ethnic groups really don't understand it very much, but I'm here to let you guys know we understand this, right? And then there's others that want to shuck the blame. This is where that victimhood stuff come from. And I'm not saying that slavery and all this other stuff didn't have a hand in it. I'm in agreement with it, right? But at the same time, right? We have to get past the past. Not to say to forget it, but let's build, let's work together. Let's do some things and acknowledge that we have a problem. That's what is going on. The road to recovery is when you acknowledge that you have a problem. I ain't say I or you, I said we. We have a problem. Look at our communities. We don't have a community. That's why you hear me say so-called community, right? We don't have one. Let's knock it off. What makes up a community is a mother, father, and children. That's the foundation right there, which a lot of us do not have. Now, I'm not trying to shame and blame singlehood, but we have to acknowledge that it's a problem. I'm trying to go at it at a different angle instead of this Black manosphere stuff, right? Because you notice with that particular group, they go after Black women. They go after you guys. You know this, right? You know this by now. All I'm saying is we all have a problem, right? Emotional males today have poor communication skills, the lack of discipline, will not accept logic, and this is why we make up a large population of jail lockup. 6 feet under, one of the two. But this is exactly the reason why. Now, there's some other things that are in that when we talk about it historically as to what happened to us. Hold on for one moment, guys. Hold on for 1 minute. Let me blow my nose. Okay. So, jail lockup. It's a revolving door. There was a statistic that was done a while back, and I forget what it was. I'm going to have to source it. But they interviewed out of 100 men, I think it was 92 and 94%, that came from a single family background, right? And when they went to uncover it even further, a lot of the Black men that are incarcerated right now lack father manhood training and discipline. That's exactly what it is, right? This is thus have created this whole young, what they call it, YNs and all this stuff. That's the remnants. That is the product after it was created. We have to address this. We're not going to talk about other issues but our own issues, right? This is what it is. I see it as a problem today. I see it every day. We shouldn't have to be raging out on each other. If we're supposed to be a loving people, we all have been victims at a point. But right now, we are not living in the 1800s, in the 60s, and so forth. We're not living in the 1930s, thank God. You know what I'm saying? You have more opportunity today, right? And we're going to talk about that too. Because this is, I'm saying though, I see problems and we should be addressing it, right? A lot of it stems from stigma and cultural norms. When we talk about mental health, it's often viewed as a sign of personal weakness or a lack of faith and resilience, right? This is exactly what it is. This is one of the things. Most people don't admit that they need help. It's looked up on as being weak, right? This is what it is. We have heard the words in our household, toughen it out. You know, discourage discussions about this stuff. Many people perceive help as admitting failure, especially, let's say, for people that are strong Black men, women stereotypes. This leads to suppression of emotions. What else? internal coping, pray family support, or professional care. This is exactly what it is. What about the historical trauma and the mistrust, right? Black folks, everybody know we mistrust each other. The problems are evident as to we are the only group that are not producing in America. And we getting down to the root causes. The stuff that I'm addressing right now are the root causes. Rooted in slavery, Tuskegee experiment, ongoing racism, all this other stuff, right? There's a deep distrust of medical systems, right? Mental health, as you heard me talk about not too long ago. Being disclosed risks of misdiagnosis. I have family members like you do. Back in the 70s, 80s, if you were a Generation X, it was misdiagnosed. It was just passed off, schizophrenia, mood swings. Come on now, you guys know what I'm talking about. These things and topics wasn't even thought of as an issue. This is one of the main reasons they just played along with the regular kids. Or on the short bus for some of them. You guys know what I'm talking about. The criminalization, right? Or the biased physicians, which is about 33%, right? This is where this stuff is coming from. And I get it. But we have to dive deeper. See, when I go into a lot of these black spaces just to be listening, sometimes I comment. I'm not even going to kid you, I do. But they talk about surface issues instead of getting down to the root cause. They stop at slavery. They don't go further than that. Because with slavery, you have generations of post-traumatic stress syndrome. Remember, the difference between the Holocaust and the Jewish folk, a lot of them had help. They have had centers and systems that was set up in play to help cope with the atrocities that have happened. Going and seeing that in Simon Wiesenthal and all this, the German camps, we should have had the same thing. Why don't we have it? That's the question, right? And I have to use the Jews as an example because everybody knows in history that has happened. Where's our, right, treatments? Simon Thal, we can call it whatever you want to call it. The name is important, but we don't have any types of systems that are put into place to help with or cope with the issues and problems that we have today. You walking around here, mental illness and all, trying to cope, gotta smoke weed just to keep yourself normal. I get it. I got relatives, like I said, we all got relatives that have some type of mental illness. Don't you find it weird and bizarre to take a broomstick, a mop, a extension cord for a kid just being a kid? I got hit with the switch, not the extension cord, but the switch, the belt, never a stick. My mother didn't go that far, right? But we have heard in the black community, I tell this to a lot of my white friends, man, and you know what they say? They are in awe, man. They can't believe this ish. For real. Oh, hell no. They can't believe it. This is a reality for some of us. They take on the mental stresses and emulate what they see. Like you whoop a slave, right? Some people didn't get a whooping, they got a beating. Man, I knew one girl when I was probably about 12, 13 years old, and she did something, I forgot what it was, but it didn't take no, you know what, with the belt. I mean, she had these big red, because she was light skinned, right? She had these big red whelps on her skin, almost broke her skin, man. This is how bad it was. She couldn't get away with that ish today at all. But this is something that these practices are still carried. And you guys that are black, especially, you understand where I'm coming from. especially Generation X. Shoot, you know what I'm saying? For just being a kid that didn't take no real, A kicking. I'm going to try to be choice with my words too, right? I'm going to try. I'm going to try, right? We're talking about family, community dynamics, right? Emphasize on spirituality and community, right? Prioritize non-medical support. Discussions, right, are avoided to prevent judgment or burdens. Other than older generations often reinforce silence. That's why they were called the silent generation before the baby boomers, right? And I understand it because blacks saw a history, like we said, Tuskegee. My grandmother in the South, Alabama. My great-great-grandmother was a midwife. A couple of them were. And many of your great-great-grandparents were midwives. They didn't trust going to a white hospital to have a child. I get that, and it's good to have that skill, right? I'm not shutting down on that. But you think they had, like, back in the 40s, 30s, the 20s, like, they were talking about mental illness? Hell no. They just thought all that was normal, especially in the black community. That was normal, right? Expression differences, sympathy, right, may manifest physically, right? This is the things that we're talking about right here, right? Damn, this is something, man. I said I wanted to talk about this, man, because we need to address the elephant in the room. We really do. And I'm going to get back on the comments in a minute. I'm not ignoring anybody. Just give me a minute, though. I'm glad that you guys are on. I'm not ignoring you. I'm one of the few black channels that do read. You know what I'm saying? And that's another issue. We're going to, you know what I'm saying? That's another issue. This is not a knock and judgment, but we have to understand, black men and women, that we have a problem. Even though we know where the problem started, but where's the solution? We can talk about the problem, white man, slavery. We can do all that stuff, right? But where is the solution? Right? Here's the statistics that I want to share with you, highlighting the impact. Only 1 out of 3 black adults with mental illness receive treatment, versus higher rates of whites, right? 2024 data from 2025 reports. Black adults are 2 times more likely to report a serious psychological distress if below the poverty line, right? What about the uninsured rate, which is 10%, right? These are issues as well. What about the prevalence of mental illness? Rate or match general population, 1 out of 5, but the persistence is higher. PTSD at 8.7% versus 7.4% in whites due to racial trauma, right? What about the treatment gaps? 52% of white people with mental illness get service versus 37% of black Americans, according to the 2020 data. Trends persist, right? The silence worsens outcomes, higher suicide rate in these so-called subgroups. Untreated depression, anxiety from what we call racism, integrational trauma, transmissions, right? These are the things. There's a lot of blacks. They don't talk about this. I'm going to pull up the statistic and find out what that is, because we know that there's a suicidal rate amongst black men more so than ever now. Young black men are deleting themselves, man. This could have a lot to do with it. And there's other things. We got to overcome the social norms of what we've been programmed, right? We've been programmed not to acknowledge. That's why I hate to say it, some stereotypes live, because if you're around more than two brothers, I've seen it over and over. It goes into it breaks out to a heavy argument, or damn right down to a damn fight. And it should not be this way over a damn football game, basketball game, or playing football, basketball, or even politics. It shouldn't matter. But from the lack of discipline, because I understand 70% of black women are single with children, no baby daddy in the home. We're talking about marriage, not boyfriends and all that stuff. We're talking about marriage. That's why they come up with that. And that has a lot to do with it as well. You got to keep in mind, for some black men, they didn't have their fathers, let alone their biological father. So they weren't given the skills to be disciplined, right? And to accept logic. Men are supposed to be in logic 80% of the time. It's expected for a woman to flip out because she's in her emotions 80% of the time. That's a given. That's why they say you should never argue with a woman. Most black men do. I made that mistake before. I don't do it no more. That's one of the main reasons. Because how is logic and emotions are going to meet somewhere down the line? It doesn't. It just doesn't, man. I'm just saying, I'm calling this stuff out because this is what is going on. We can't ignore this and pretend that someone else. When are we going to take accountability and responsibility for a lot of the issues that we cause in the modern day? You know, that's what I'm saying. This is about accountability as well as responsibility. And some of the brothers, sisters too, they have a problem with me. Why? Because I speak the truth. I speak for what many will try to have this, what they call it? It's called black code. You know, that's what it's called. You know, Neely Fuller, what's his name? Neely, forgot his last name. It come back to me. Fuller. Neely Fuller, right? You know, this is where they're coming from. They put the black code. There's things that you're not supposed to say, right? You're supposed to be on black code, right? And one of the things that I've learned about growing up in the black community, so-called black community, is never admit weakness never, never. This is why even with women that have aggression, try to go up to a sister today, oh, this busty, dusty, and some of them will go in on you. It's the law of the jungle, the fit of the fittest. If some of y'all have watched Star Trek, it's basically a Klingon ritual things, you know, because some of you guys don't watch Star Trek. I'm a big Trekkie fan, but I'm going to try to break this down. A Klingon ritual, and it's like, I don't speak Klingon. Some of these guys nerd out like that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. But if you strike a female in the Klingons, right, that indicates that you are attracted to her. You see what I'm saying? And they usually fight it out. And I find some similarities with what has been created as a science fiction to what is going on in the so-called black community. This is about understanding our plight as well as trying to make some changes of how we treat each other. We're so we don't have union amongst each other. It's the opposite. It shows. Don't you guys really understand? We don't have a community. We have a hood, and you have other people that don't look like you and me that are profiting from our separation from each other. So when you complain about the whites, the Arabs, the Koreans, right? The Chinese, the Vietnamese, you got to admit, ain't no community perfect. But one thing about it is that they're all making money in the inner city. And we have to think about it. Whose fault is that? Right? This is another thing. Because we have been conditioned to be what we say, We distrust one another. We don't like each other. And this is the word that I coined. This is my phrase. We have learned, we hate to love and love to hate. I'm going to say it again. Black people have been programmed to hate to love one another and love to hate. That's absolutely correct. Hate to love, love to hate. Where can you go with that type of mentality? Nowhere. Why do you think the brothers and the sisters, they have to marry out? Because we don't have anything in the inner cities. If you guys are not addressing the problems and the mental illness and all the rest of the stuff, the post-traumatic stress, the beatings, right? And the killings and all the rest of this stuff, you ain't got no choice but to leave. You have to divest. There's nothing here. Look around. You just got a hood with crime, violence, drugs, prostitution, gang activity. There ain't no community. That's the ghetto. That's the hood. There's nothing good coming from the hood. So I ask this. Your celebrities, your entertainers, your athletes, the ones that are black, are they willing to build in the inner cities? That's the question. What about these pro-blacks? Have they broken ground? Organizing, right? Mobilizing, getting these celebrities and entertainers to build in the inner city. Are they doing that? No. I would like to ask them, what is the reason? Because right now, what I'm talking about is putting emphasis and is acknowledging and recognizing that there's a problem in our community. We got to get our ish together first, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, before we can go outreach anywhere else. That's exactly what it is. You should be able to stand on your square and accept the fact, whatever a person's choice may be, instead of us being a cult type thinking. And unfortunately, when I look at the so-called black community, we have more of a cult-like thinking, following leaders or leaderless because they don't lead. They just grift. You can't get nothing out of that. Thus, Dr. Umar Johnson, and there's many others. Right? They don't want to have the debate for real, because what I'm saying right now is about black issues right now, right? Our problems right now. And we're not going to move it to no other group but our own. We're going to learn to be accountable or responsible. Here's the choice. I'm going to say this for you educated brothers and sisters, and none of y'all figured it out like I did. There's only two choices, even if they will be willing to work with each other or keep marrying out, get your passports, or whatever the case may be, and just jettison out of the community. And that's what they're doing. They don't want to be around this stuff. Educated people, black, white, and other, do not want to live around crime, violence, and so forth. We don't want to do that. There's nowhere you can build from that. This is a message to these pro-blacks and all the rest of them, right? You know, if you take offense to what I'm saying right now, that means that there's one thing that I can say. What I'm saying is threatening the money and the power structure. Because when the money and the power structure is being challenged, this is where they come. And they send their drones and clowns and trolls. This is where the stuff is coming from. I know the game. We can go all back. What about another thing? Boule is not talked about enough, right? The Boule and many other enemies of their own damn people, right? This is exactly what it is. Do they want us to be a thriving black community? No. 10% of parliament that runs and controls the so-called black community, which are them, the Boule, right? Because for our rise will be their fall, right? They do not like the fact about us galvanizing, organizing, and getting ourselves together. There's a lot of money. You guys got to understand what I'm talking about. There is a lot of hidden money that loves our division. They love our division. They love the fact to see two black men go at each other until we go pop, pop. Because think about it, the funeral homes, I know one here in Detroit right now, Opia, for some of y'all that in Detroit, over there on Plymouth, Southfield Freeway. I'm going to be honest with you, man. These black funeral homes, man, every time I go there, every Saturday, there's a funeral, there's a death. If it ain't health, it's somebody pop, pop, pop. I'm not kidding. The funeral homes are making tons of money, right? Man, if you put a life insurance out on your family, Pookie and Ray Ray, you gonna cash out on them. It's sad, but it's true. Can't you guys understand what I'm talking about here? This is bigger than you know. And just to be, you've been weaponized to go after each other. I'm not your enemy. I wear the MAGA cap, but I'm not your enemy. I'm telling you who your enemy are. And it looks like us. You, when you look in the mirror, you ain't got to worry about me trying to break in your home, trying to get at you. Think about it. Now I'm going to get political as well because I'm going to tie it in. Did you know about the Democratic Party? They had a lot to do with it, with their left-leaning policies. We weren't in this situation before a lot of blacks started jumping on board to being a Democrat. This is facts. This is documented. I'm not making this up. I'm not telling you to be a Republican. But I want you to know the party of your ancestors were Republicans. They worked along with the Whig Party, which were the whites. The abolitionists in the Whig Party, which started the Republican Party in 1854 to stop the spread of slavery going to the West. And this is facts. Martin Luther King knew his history. That's why he was a Republican. And you have many more, which they don't want to talk about. They want to make it sound like, okay, the liberal left love black people. You have many racists besides Lyndon B. Johnson. There was many of them. A lot of them, especially from the left, they hate black folks. You know, if we're going to put a face on something, I'm going to challenge your whole party for who you vote for, because they are the ones that have gotten you in this situation that you're in right now. Mental bondage, right? As long as you claim victimhood, you will never rise. And that's what they smile and like. Liberal whites love when you talk about racism being a victim. The ones in power, that is. I'm talking about the white liberals in power. Like a lot of your entertainers and stuff, you know, try to tell you to get out and vote. Where they all been millionaires and billionaires and stuff like that. They don't know the struggle. I grew up in the hood. I know the struggle. That's the difference, right? And I'm calling out the bullshit right now. That's exactly what it is, right? If we're going to be accountable and responsible, we have to accept and look and see that it's a we problem, not a he problem, a we problem. It's us. It's us. Black men and black women share the responsibility equally. That's a fact. And we ain't going to move not one iota anywhere else. We're going to be talking about black issues on this topic and black problems. It ain't going to be, diverting from it, deflecting from it. We have to learn to deal with it. If you got a cancer in the body, we have to learn how to stop it, instead of feeding it with sugar and other type of poisons. That's where we have to get to, the mindset. We got to get to that point. But until then, everything is just spinning wheels, wasting time. And that's what a lot of these channels do. Spinning wheels, wasting time, being a victim, shame, blame, need to be right, going after fellow black folks, paint me as the enemy, when all this time I've been correct. I've been correct. Black fatigue. We seeing black fatigue popping up all over the place now. And I'm happy that they're doing it, because even blacks that are not on that time, demon time and all this other stuff. They ain't on that stuff. And they're pointing out the problems in the so-called black community. We have a serious problem. And until we start to get to a point or acknowledge that we have a problem, there will be no healing, there will be no reform, there will be no nothing. Nobody want to invest in with us. We have a childlike mentality politically, economically. It's true. We still have a childlike mentality. And I would have respected the brother yesterday as a Generation X, and I gave him the opportunity where we could come down to some type of resolution. We can agree to disagree, but anything like that is appear to be weak. And I understand where he was coming from, because when I debated, a lot of the brothers and sisters, we had barbershop conversations all the time. A lot of times they get heated. That's why I stopped doing them, because they don't have the emotional discipline to deal with the facts. We got to come out of this cult-like thinking, ladies and gentlemen, and start accepting responsibility and accountability, and stop shaming and blaming everybody else, right? Because they don't make you look strong. It makes you look weak. I'm just passionate about this particular topic because it hits home all my life, right? This is why I'm not angry, but I'm just passionate, right? That's what it is. Let me go look at the comments though before I start going on, man. But yeah, man, because I said this was going to be a real good live and things like that, and I have to. I'm gonna go ahead and read it from the top, man. And like I said, I'm not trying to ignore anybody. I'm one of the few brothers that read the comments anyway. You know, I'm gonna have to pull it a little closer here. In fact, let me do this here. I'm gonna pull this mic a little closer. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. Okay, let me see here. All right. Michael Dillon says, hey, Tony, how do you feel about Venezuela? I talked about that. I feel really good about it. I talked really good about it. You can go back to the early of the video where I kind of go into a little bit more depth. Therefore, I can just keep going down for time. We have here League of Carnage. It's an interesting name. Taking Venezuela is good for Venezuelans, but America just took in welfare state. I addressed that already as well. League of Carnage. You guys can go back in the beginning and watch that, if or so. You know, that's open for debate. League says, let me just call you League for short. We will spread billions, and some rich guy will profit off of the oil. League says it's just a distraction, right? Michael says the people that live there are celebrating. Yes, they are. I talked about that earlier too. See, League, you got to understand the people. Don't think about the news as you see it. It's not the news. The people in Venezuela is praising Trump, as Michael said, and I said that earlier in the video. They're praising Donald Trump because you know why? Because there was a tyrant, which is Maduro, right? He been removed and ousted out of power. They would be crying and upset if he was not a tyrant, but he's a tyrant. So yeah, check some other sources with news. Get ground news like me, and that way you'll be more informed, right? Michael says distraction from what? And that's what he's asking the other guy that says is a distraction from what? Because the talking points from the Lion media is what they're saying is, Michael, and you know this already. I can already tell for what I'm reading from you already. They're saying distraction because they said it's about oil all this time instead of about drugs. And what they don't know, the history of what Venezuela has been doing has been ripping us off, stealing our oil. They have done a lot of stuff, basically pirates of the sea, so to speak. You know, they don't know this because who don't talk about it, right? The Lion media doesn't talk about this stuff. All right, let's take a look at it here. So Ozzy says, just another Rothschild war. Michael says, gotta go, Tony. I appreciate you coming by, Michael, man. I'm just getting to your comments right now. We got Nigel in the house. Wow. What's that? I think that's wow. Okay. We have here, I remember you coming in the other day. We have Irish. What's that? Is that I'm sorry. In his name. Oh, I'm just gonna call you in his name. Truth. Yeah, I appreciate it. In his name, I appreciate it. In his name, can you image? Okay, can you image if what's your? I think it's supposed to be say, can you image? Or what's your image? Okay, I'm trying to make. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. If black people were ununified, the power. If they were ununified, if black people were ununified, the amazing force of salt on the earth. You said if they were ununified, they are ununified. Remember, there's no black businesses. In fact, there's no black wealth. We don't have black wealth like white people, not generational. We got a lot of rich guys, but we don't have generational wealth. You can't have that if you don't have a generation or a community. It's impossible. In his name says black people created all cultures or whatever. Created it and having the power, you got to have the power to keep it. I'm in agreement with you. Blacks are the innovators and all that, but it doesn't dilute for what I've been saying about this whole time. We're not talking about innovations about black people. See, you're missing the point in his name. You're missing the point. I want to keep you back on the point that I made earlier and go back again for understanding. You got to go back and listen to what I said because there's a lot of juices in there. There's a lot of gems in there, but it's going to hurt. It is supposed to hurt and sting because one thing I don't see a lot of black people do is take accountability and responsibility. They won't do it. They're always playing the victim. And this is why ish don't never get done. You saying programming, yeah, I'm agreement of this. Programming for each other not to trust one another. I don't know if you're in the United States. As I mentioned before, I grew up in the black community, not the suburbs, but come from the bottom. You see what I'm saying? So I done seen it all pretty much, right? In his name says, do you think about the boule and real questions, Mark? I don't think about it. I don't think about them a lot at all, but I understand how they were created and what their job was. They had a lot to do, because like I said, they do the bidding of Pharaoh, right? That's what they do. In his name says, look at Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. They've been peddling the same erase hatred for decades. No, that's a typo. But yeah, they have been peddling the same stuff, and they also boule. That's a fact, right? What good could come from the boule? Nothing. Okay, in his name says, who do black people think war? The gray uniform in the Civil War or the South. I'm gonna be honest. Most black people don't think about nothing like that. When you're out here trying to do everyday survival, they don't think about history like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't think about history. That's why we're doomed to repeat it. When you don't know from the past, you're doomed to repeat it, right? And then in his name says Democrats, and then we have here LDS. Let me see here. Pun dude says Jesse and Al, right? Look and see what's going on, right? And until these even out, right, or even ever go away, yes, race is a factor. And in his name says more than 50% of African Americans are killed before they were born. That's crazy. It's actually a lot. It's actually millions and millions of babies that die every day. It's not gun violence in the black community. It's actually abortion. When you look at the statistics are alarming because when you look at these inner cities, they got Planned Parenthood where black women abort their children and things like that at an alarming rate. And I think it has slowed down now since Trump changed some of the policies and stuff. I mean, they can still get an abortion in some of these liberal areas and stuff like that, unfortunately. But other states, because it's up to the state to decide on that. But I do believe that in Michigan, because you still got Planned Parenthood, which is by Margaret Zinger. She was a known racist that hated black people. She said blacks should be treated as a weed. She looked at us as a weed. You know how hard it is to kill a weed? That's how she addressed us as a weed, out in the garden, right? in his name says they make money off of it, right? And if they'll make money from it, they certainly don't want it to end, brother. Yeah, they do. That's what I was saying earlier. This is a money-making thing, man. You know, LDSP says, talk, brother. Yeah, man, I'm glad that I love the encouragement, though. And again, shout out to you guys that come in here and listen to what I got to say. I'm just some old random dude, right? And his name says there has been systematic educational psychological, and financial and social welfare against the Black Americans. You are absolutely correct. In fact, I'm just going to go on and pin that because it's absolutely correct. I'm not ignoring this. These are facts. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of things. You know, I can go in further in regards to who was the architects. You got to look at the Rockefellers. You got to look at the Rosenbergs, right? That they appointed over the educational industry, right? The Rosenbergs, right? They were responsible for so-called Black miseducation is what I call it. This is one of the main reasons, as you see with the tap dancing, the horn playing, singing and dancing and everything. They never taught economics. You got to keep in mind, though, we were taught to be workers, right? This originally after slavery, right? They were the ones that drafted this stuff up, right? This is where it come from. In his name says that's because they afraid of how much potential energy exists from that set of Americans. Well, again, this is a war on everybody because with the deep state and the elites that's being challenged and being battled against right now, they don't share power. You got to take power from them. They don't share. And this is the thing, though. Blacks are put into a permanent underclass. Now, I'm not saying that we can't get out of it, but I'm addressing the problems as to why blacks feel the way that they feel, right? Because we have to address the root causes of it, right? In his name says that's because they. Oh, I read that already. My bad. LDSP says don't have a child like personality. Yeah. He says, we do have a childlike personality. Blacks have a childlike personality. I said that before. Because some of you guys is coming in now, you got to go back and listen to what I was saying earlier, right? We have a childlike mentality, and I'm not saying that as an attack, but what do I mean by childlike mentality? I'm talking about like play ball, play sports, you know, want the government and everything to make it all better. You know, we believe in big government. We don't have this self-determination due for ourselves. We expect for government agencies and other programs to take care of us. That's what I mean about a childlike mentality, right? And let me see here. LDPS, all right? Yeah, LDSP, sorry about that, on politics, right? LDSP says, like, I ain't voting, all right? They ain't doing ish or twist it up, so I don't vote. Yeah, I hear that, and that's your prerogative, man. I can give other reasons. I was like that myself at one point in time. I never voted before until recently, right? Because back then, it was like WWE. Some of you may still agree, right? But you have Republican, Democrat. It was basically like, if you watch wrestling, most of us have WWE, right? Where you had two sides, because it's not that Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage hated each other, man. In fact, they became cool, remember? You have a lot of other people, though. It's all theater. And we have to understand that. If you're looking at this thing otherwise than that, then this is what I mean by the childlike mentality. And unfortunately, a lot of blacks, unfortunately, still have a childlike mentality because we have been undeveloped by the left, the groups. I can name so many things what the left have done, which makes them divisive, dangerous, and outright just criminal for the things they did to us historically, right? These are facts. Let me take a look at what else you have to say. Hold on for one moment. Just trying to adjust my mic here and get a little closer. All right, there we go. That's a little bit better. All right, let's get a little closer. All right, so in his name, right? In his name is Lay or Slay or whatever. He's addressing LDP SP, right? You are absolutely correct. Mean the flag of the Confederacy is enough to send black people in rage. Did you know the Confederacy flag is a liberal Democrat flag? Do you guys really realize that? Do you know that the Democrats once again had a lot to do with not of the freeing of their slaves? Many other Democrats were slave owners. Did you guys know this? This is a history lesson for you, right? And I know some of you do understand the history of it, right? In his name said, it's not our fault though, right? LDP said, or SP says, ooh, please, I'm not going to acknowledge such bull crap. I guess they got a little thing, a disagreement with each other. In his name says, there's welfare against us. Right. What bull? Let me see what bull, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's addressing. Okay. And then LDSP says the Confederate flag the Confederate flag go to your freaking homework. He's right. In his name, see, this is what I'm talking about right here, man. This is what I'm talking about. I'm willing to pretty much put it on the thing. Though. I don't know what ethnic is, but if I were to guess in his name, you sound like a brother, man. Now, you all the time I've been talking. And that's why I say you got to listen for understanding sometimes instead of getting emotionally triggered. If you understand what LDSP was saying, because I know what he knows in regards to this. You don't know your history. You don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's okay if you don't know it. But before you start throwing out insults and saying that somebody don't know what they're talking about, you really don't. Because if you really knew who was really behind slavery for real, since we're going to talk about it, right? You would not say such a thing. You really wouldn't. You would not say such a thing if you really knew the truth. But I understand that you don't know the truth. Sorry about that. I had to step away from the mic a minute. But yeah, it's just saying you don't understand the truth in regards to what is going on. Remember, you've been taught by the left-leaning educational system. It was designed to fail, right? This is what it is, right? In his name says, who wore the gray suits and the silver? He's still missing the point. You know, you're still missing the point. That means that you have not grasped and listened to what I said because you are in the victim thing once again. See, when emotions kick in, you cannot have a real debate of discussion because they are triggered emotionally. And if we were in the room together, a fight can possibly break out. This is far too routine with the brothers, far routine with the sisters. It's far routine. And why are we talking about the Civil War when we should be talking about the problems in our own community? Psychologically, it's the problem with us. Don't deflect with all this other stuff. All that stuff came later. We got to get to the crust of it. Let's get to the point. That's not the point. That's not the point. So if it doesn't have anything related to what I'm saying, I'm just going to go on and ignore it. I'm not going to read all the comments because it's missing the point. We got to stay on the point. These are points here. It's not points. Let me go ahead and scroll down a little bit because it goes moot at this point, right? It just becomes moot. Nobody's telling you how to vote or who to vote. Just do your research on the parties. I've been said you don't want to be married to a party. You got to look at the policies. That is what matters. But I'm going to get off that topic because That right there is not our problem. Blacks been voting Democrat over 92%, hands down. And look at our communities. So if you want to bring up politics, I'm going to bring up the conditions of who we voted for. We didn't get anything in return but trinkets and trash and garbage. Do you really want to debate that issue about politics now? Because you would lose that one easy. You're easy. You even had a black president. Business as usual. But he get praised, right? Because he's so polished and so smooth talking snake sales or snake sales agent, right? Is what I call them. That's what they are. Salesmen. Sell you bullshit while you still in the hood. I'm saying. So I'm going to overread this stuff because it's not getting to the point. Let me see here. We have here Black Lives MAGA. I love it. I got to give you a shout out on that as well. In fact, we'll post that up. Black Lives Making America Great Again. That's what that means. Amen. I appreciate you there, Alex. Alex says amen. And Alex says KKK equal Democrats. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, right? And one thing about it, Alex, is like I said, we've been conditioned as a group. They didn't educate us. They told us all the wonderful things about Civil War and the Confederacies. They made that big lie saying that. And we know you know this, but I'm just saying, don't take our slaves away. You know what I'm saying? That's what they were doing. This is exactly what it is. Right? My brother owned one is what Alex says. I appreciate you guys for coming in. We don't have to agree on everything. I have a lot of liberal friends, but I don't go at them hard as some of them will go after me. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said before, the bigger problem are blacks being naive, not looking at what we call exactly is what but we're naive on a lot of things when it comes down to mental health. This is the number one thing, in my opinion, that holds a lot of us back. And a poor communication. It affects our relationships. It affects our friends, co-workers. A lot of this stuff tends to happen. And this is the reason why nobody wants to be around an irritable person. But since we're not, as a group, not being treated for some of these psychological issues, it's like a generation thing that keep perpetuating. Because like I said, in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, it was practically just overlooked. It was misdiagnosed. It was. ADHD and all this stuff, we didn't know about that stuff. Post-traumatic stress, we did not know about any of that stuff until after. 20 years, for some of it, 10 to 20 years out, right? We didn't understand all this stuff. But what I'm saying is that it affects us as a people. That's the problem. All this gender stuff and all this other stuff. Listen, we have to deal with what I'm talking about. This is the topic of conversation. And I know that with blacks, what I've been learned, we hate accountability and responsibility. See, it's easy to blame. You know, you've been taught that by these poor so-called black leaders. They love to deflect. They love to filibuster. That's what they do. They love to deflect and filibuster, and then they also love to blame it on other people, especially white men. You hear that all the time, right? They're not in our communities. They're not robbing us at this point and doing all this other stuff. We got to address the issues of what I'm talking about, starting with the mental health, right? Because that's the crust of it all. If we are in disagreement, that shouldn't allow a brother and sister to go pick up a knife or a gun to go off somebody. Don't you find that very, very strange, right? To do this, it's easy to say, hey, bro, we agree to disagree. Instead of just keep pushing the conversation. right? It don't make any sense. Now you're forcing somebody to have a conversation instead of acknowledging and communication. I'm got to say it. I've been in a lot of chats, man. I'm one of the few brothers that read every chat. There's a few others that read, but most of them don't. They have these like group chat things, 5, 6 people, and poor moderation. That's another thing. Don't stay on a particular topic. That's why I don't like doing the whole group thing in my channel, because it get chaotic, especially when it comes down to us, because we are poor communicators for the most part of it. And I'm not lying about this. I wish somebody can prove me wrong, because the jail lockup in population as well as 6 feet under wouldn't be so prevalent today. And I want to do a part 2 on this where I want to go into more detail. And if these so-called black leaders and these grifters and pro-blacks and foundational blacks and all the rest of them were to look in their own communities, in their own neighborhoods, we got a lot of cleaning up to do before we can start going. Until we can start going to them, we have to get our situation together. And when we get our situation together, guess what? When we have thriving communities where black people are building for one another like before, where we can have our own stuff like everybody else do, when we can start doing it right. And then if you ever wanted to go into politics or whatever like that, you could put your boy or your girl and put the money on her to be able to carry out the policies that you want to see in your community. That's what everybody else does. We only ones that only vote by name only with no power behind it. You can't control a politician that way. A lot of our black politicians, once they get in there, they have to play white ball or every other ethnic ball. It's true. Having a black mayor or a governor or a president is not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Without power, you have nothing. And this is what they never taught you as black people. You do not have power. And they didn't teach you that. The Rosenbergs would never teach the black citizens in the turn of the century. You learn how to sing and dance and bebop. You do the instruments, and we do that very well. But you don't understand what power is. This is the problem. We're going to bust up all this black manosphere stuff and all that. They're also missing the point. Without power, you can't control your woman. And what I mean by control is that when a man has power and status, the woman is going to adjust herself to the power and status. White women do it all the time. Asian women do it all the time. Arab women do it all the time. Indian women do it all the time. Latino and Spanish women do it all the time. I can keep going on. But how the hell can you expect for the sisters to respect us when we don't respect ourselves? Because you were taught power, and they don't teach on power. They teach you how to be a victim. Listen to me and listen to me well, right? Without power, you're nothing. You're nothing but a slave mentally. And this is why many of us fail. Instead of teaching the victimhood, they should be teaching you how to be independent, how to stand on your own grounds. That's what should have been taught. And I'll rest my case behind that. But I get very passionate. I'm not upset, but I get passionate about what it is that I'm saying, because I want at some point in time, because all blades of grass don't grow the same. Some of you guys won't get what I'm saying right now. I encourage, when you calm down, to go back and listen to what I'm saying again. And it may take you 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. No judgment here. But the point is that you have to get it. We've been played. And unfortunately, we also been played by our own people. Let's just tell it for what it really is. Stop giving them passes and stuff, because you don't get nothing out of it. What have these people like Dr. Umar Johnson done for you? He ain't did a damn thing for nobody but himself. And I'm using him as a placeholder right now, because there's others that have been doing what he's doing. It's nothing tangible but a bunch of broken promises. I would never follow anybody just for being charismatic. I'm looking at your actions, what you do, not what you say. And until they address these issues that I've been talking about and backing it up with action, I don't want to have nothing to do with them. Straight like that. But I digress. You know, we are angry as a people. As I mentioned before, we got the stresses of life. Hey, I was like that too. I'm not above. No, I'm just some random dude. You know, when you got the light bills due, gas and all the rest of this stuff, you got children, crying children, babies they got to have. You got to, you're going out here, less than economy now. You got to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 2.5 jobs, right? Both parties got to work, right? And for you sisters, if you really love that black husband of yours, you would definitely got to understand our plight as a black man. It ain't as easy going out here trying to generate and take care of a full family. See, it's easy to quit a relationship. Y'all act like just finding another dude with kids is that easy. It's not. You're going to be some type of booty call. Got to put it out there too. Sorry, but this is what it is. We're talking truth here. And they're not going to be busting down the door, taking care of another man's children. I'm sorry, ladies, but I got to tell the truth. This ain't a dock towards you, but I want you to understand something here. I'm one of the best friends you're going to have. You know why? Because I'm a type of brother that tell women and black women the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not trying to get in your pants. I don't want nothing from you because I don't have a dog in that fight. But I'm just giving you the truth, nothing more. But I really appreciate y'all coming into this room and stuff like that, man, and things. But yeah, man, I'm just saying, man, we have to do better, man. As black folks, however that is, man, I don't have the answers, man. I wish I did. If I had the answers to be able to fix this thing, because this is generational trauma. I said this earlier, PTSD, post-slavery, and there was no centers designed to be able to fix our broken. We're fractured people, man. We are broken people. And there's no centers, nothing like what the Jewish, they have their centers and everything. We should be having our stuff. I mean, yeah, Charles H. Wright Museum. I mean, they got the stuff down there where you got to go to Black Museum. I'm not knocking that. But those are things that have happened in the past. Whether some of this stuff is historically correct, it's the point. The point, that ain't the point. But there's some type of trauma, psychological trauma, PTSD, and other type of issues, right? Which triggers this fractures of the brain, which we call mental illness, right? Schizophrenia, multiple personality types, and all the rest of this stuff, man. I ain't a psychologist, but I tell you what, I've been looking at some of this stuff, and it definitely plays a factor of how we are animalistic, the reptilian brain that kicks in every time. When we can't keep up with a fight verbally, being able to, I'm going to tell you guys this. Let me jump off that topic because I don't want to go into that too far. I visited a channel today. I ain't going to mention his name. But the channel, let's say the last name was Prince. First name with a J is all I'm going to say. But I was on there today and I was listening, and they had a topic of conversation. They had a white guy in there because they said they were going to start opening their channels. Now, they're the typical black channel where they talk about what we call like racism and slavery, the white man that we have the lack of, and all yada, 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 right? Not to discount that, because like I said, I'm in agreement with that stuff. But the white guy made some very, very great points. I couldn't even, it wasn't about debating that per se. He was saying you're absolutely right, in regards to some of these things. I was on that channel. But you know what the thing about it, this white guy owned they're behind on their own channel. And I'm going to say this without going into a lot of detail. Let's just say that they were not intellectually his equal. I'll say that much. This is why when you see brothers or people in general, they get emotional when you start hitting with facts statistics and other things, right? Because I should be able to stand on my square, but they weren't equal. There wasn't his intellectual match. They couldn't handle it. That's why they go into the name calling, the derogatory stuff, and all that. I'm not going to say it, but they went into all that kind of stuff. And I've seen this routinely come, especially from black men and black women too. When they don't have enough information and research to be able to, or listen for understanding, they kept asking these questions like most liberals do. They ask these, keep questioning, right? Until they can get an aha moment. And I'm going to tell you, that's not going to work with a real person that know how to debate. You'll lose that argument every time because we know what you're trying to do when you do that. Because you mean to tell me that since I've been talking, you can't agree on one thing. You can't get past the red cap for some of you guys. If you can't do that and see that, then that's a problem. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't do this to trigger people. I'm not into the rage baiting or people crashing out. They do that on their own. I didn't have to physically or talk about somebody for say talking about, yeah, you big old so-and-so, you this and I don't have to do all that stuff. When they attack me, I already want to debate. And that's what I'm saying. Black men, black woman, man, we're going to have to figure out a way to start loving each other, man, because this is getting too far generational, man. Look at our generation after slavery. We should be flourishing in America. You know? And it starts with our own acknowledging the problem. Until we learn how to do that, nobody else is going to give a damn about you, including black folks. They're just going to avoid you and stay away from you. And not that they don't care. They don't care to want to know because nobody wants to be around the victim. That's just how it is. No matter how much you talk about racism and all the rest of that stuff today, nobody cares. You think these black athletes and entertainers and celebrities, right? Sports figures and all the rest of them, they don't care. They already got their millions and billions. Just like I was saying yesterday, do you think that Nicki Minaj cares? No, she doesn't. What's she, 150 million plus? You think she really care? They could unsubscribe from TikTok and stop following her, but it still don't make her less of a millionaire when she has the mainstream. This is my point that I'm talking about. And this is what I was trying to say yesterday, right? What I was saying yesterday about the Nicki Minaj thing before I ended, right? Nicki Minaj, just like anybody else, have a right to vote left or right. We are not in this cultish monolith thing that they've been trying to portray on blacks. That's why I called it out yesterday. I have a problem when black men telling other black men where to put their penis. That right there is very, very suspect to me, right? You got way more women and black women. Black women, I don't tell them who they can and can't be with. Many of them are dating and with white men. Or I'm going to go to the sister. What are you doing? Taking all the sisters. I would never do that to her. She has a choice. Some of you guys ain't got to like it. But one thing, respect people's choices is what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. And we don't, because we have this mental illness thing and other issues going on, because we haven't even learned how to love each other. We haven't learned how to do that. So how can you expect something from somebody when you don't even know how to love? Some of y'all grew up in a loveless home. Your mother didn't show no affections to you. Most of you. Some of you got lucky. I was one of those families where my mother never gave affection physically. We didn't get the hugs and kisses. We weren't told that we were attractive, good-looking black men. You guys know what I'm talking about. This is another issue. And some of you ladies, too. You old black so-and-so, oh, my gosh, she over. I'm just bringing up some points. We hate ourselves so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's to the point, right, where we can't even give compliments to each other. You got to love first, know how to love first before you can start truly giving a compliment. Black women can give black women compliments all day long. I very rarely seen a black woman give a black man. Black men give black women compliments all the time. But black women got to do better too, sisters. You got to do better. Got to do better, man. Got to do better. Y'all don't give enough compliments. And when a man don't receive or a woman don't receive that love, I'm feeling cherished, feeling protected, you know, because you're setting them up to fail. All this sexual promiscuous type stuff and all this, where do you think all that's coming from? It's coming from the lack of. I get it. Some of y'all parents didn't know how to love either. I understand. This is why a lot of you have abandonment issues. This is another issue. Abandonment issues. Go look it up. It attacks your self-esteem as well. A lot of people got a projectile here just to play it off. But you know, some of you guys know what I'm talking about. You ain't got to admit it because I'm not trying to call nobody out. But what I'm saying is that these are problems that continuously are happening in the so-called black community. And they're not being addressed. And this is why we have the issues, right? I'm going to go and read a few more comments and stuff like that. And then we're going to wrap it up and stuff. But I appreciate y'all coming in here, man. You guys have been great though, man. You know, I'm seeing a lot of blacks coming in here as well too, and things, which I want. I'm your brother. Whether I wear a red cap or not, I'm still your brother because I can accept you. You should better accept me. If I'm speaking truth, if I'm up here lying and making up stuff off the top of my head, then I can understand. I ain't attack nobody. I ain't disrespect nobody. So shouldn't I get some of that in return? You know, that's what I'm saying. Remember, I ain't been asking for one dime, right? There's people that have been grifting for a long time and ain't been getting nothing in return. All I'm saying is that let us learn how to love each other, whatever that is. You know, we have to learn. I don't have the answers. I wish I did. I wish I did. I wish I had the answers. But it starts by acknowledging a problem first before we can move on. This is not, I mean, it's all of the problems that you guys are seeing and some, but it stems with us first. And it starts at home in your family first. First. Because like I said before, man, beatings, that's a problem, man. When you want to take a stick. I mean, I grew up like I said, I was born in the 70s, right? I'm just going to keep it real. So what I've seen before I go, but what I've seen is how black men as a fathers and stepfathers really treated their sons. And some of you guys know what I'm talking about. We were the last generation X is the last generation where you'll see a father figure in the home. Think about that. After our generation, millennials, our generation failed the millennial generation. Millennials failed the Zennial generation in the black community. And that is what I'm talking about, generational trauma, right? This is where does it stop? We have to acknowledge these things, man. And for you guys that have been around like me, you know what I'm talking about, right? Black men back in those days, we didn't treat us very well. It was like on some hating, you know. Stepfather didn't treat me and my brother very well, like things. I mean, we had a father figure, but he didn't do anything when it came down to us. He didn't take us nowhere, travel anywhere, stuff that when you love. And that's another thing, though, too, man. It's one of these things, though, man. I mean, you know, they did the best that they can, but we didn't get the love. We didn't get the praise, man. You know, having good grades and stuff, man. Yeah, we you know, it wasn't celebrated very well, man. And I'm only speaking from experience of what I know. This doesn't make me weak. We're talking about and acknowledging a problem, as I mentioned again. You guys that's coming in now, I would highly suggest that you share this video with other blacks in the community to get the wheels turning in your head. This is not an attack on the black community. We're talking about problems that are generational. This stuff, this itch didn't just come up right now. This is a generational trauma, PTSD, and so forth. We all have family that suffer from mental illness. And unfortunately, they're going to have to get the treatment for the rest of their life. And some of them are very severe. You know what I'm saying? Management, depression, and whatever the clinical names they come up with this stuff, right? They got all type of stuff going on. Schizophrenic, post-traumatic, what's the other one? Schizophrenia, yeah, that's the one, right? Mood swings up and down. And some of it is could probably be towards diet and other things too. It's a little bit of everything. It's not a one-size shoe. Because again, I'm not in the medical field, but I got cousins that are. I got a few cousins that are doctors, MDs. Great, congratulate them. Congratulate them. We need more doctors. But I really appreciate y'all for coming in here. Let me see what's on the comments and things, man. I can't read them all, man, because I'm about to shut it down, man. If I missed over anybody, it wasn't intentional, man, but just wanted to talk about some things here. I'm Black American, and I support every single African across the world, including Somalians. It said, do you support Somalis over your own countrymen, even if they are white? That's a good question he's asking you. Those are good questions there, man. Let me see here. LDSP says 7505. You got that right. No black men. And when the black men in the Republican Party was pushing Trump in the position, none of them were appointed. None of them were appointed and things like that. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though. For what I met Don Jr. by the way, and I say this again. But with Trump, right? If anybody watched The Apprentice, right? Kwame, what's his name? Kwame, he was, I can't think of his last name. He was a brother that appeared on The Apprentice. I think it was the first episode. But he appeared on The Apprentice just like whites and other, because they were all project managers. And Trump, as we all know, he's a big-time real estate developer. Trump has a very, very tough work ethic, right? And he expects for the people that he hire to be the same. If you ain't at the top of your class, now look at Byron Donaldson, look at Tim Scott over there in South Carolina. Isn't he the governor over there? He's a Republican, he's MAGA. You know, you got a few other people that you may not even know about, right? But he don't hire because of skin color. He hire off of merit. See, this is another thing that we've been pushed up on, right? Because of all this affirmative action stuff and what they call the DEI and all this other stuff, right? You know, there was a time when blacks understood this, and this is a few generations back. I'm talking about right around the time Booker T. Washington and them. Because if they were alive today, they would agree. It's about all of the intellectual inventions and properties that black people patented. You think they did it? No, they used their brain. They came up with inventions and stuff. The refrigerator, right? The stoplights, right? All this stuff these are black inventions, well known, right? Nobody gave it to them. They used their brain, right? And this is what it is, right? The straightening comb, Madam C.J. Walker, right? One of the first black millionaires back in the day, right? So we got to come out of this victimhood stuff a little bit, and we got to start coming off of merit. If you're looking to work and I'm not saying with Trump, I'm talking about in general, you should have this mentality of being the very best that you do. If you go, it's the difference between a job and something that you enjoy doing. When you love what you do and do what you love, you're going to be successful. If you don't, then you have to figure it out and find something that you enjoy doing. But whatever you do in the meantime, do it well. Do it well instead of half-assing it, because people that do that would never be acknowledged nowhere. This ain't a Trump thing. This is just in general. I wouldn't want to hire nobody just because you're black. I want you to be black and competent, not black and incompetent. Enough of that victim stuff. You either going to have the ability and the skills in order to do the job, I'm going to have to move on and hire someone else. That's just how it goes. All this black code stuff got to stop because we ain't getting nowhere, right, with that. We are not. Because if that was so or whatever, because here's a challenge to you guys that are black in this room, and I'm going to really let it go, right? Do you think a lot of these so-called black black leaders keep their money in the so-called black bank? I just say it, right? That's the question right there, man. Do they keep the money in the black bank? Absolutely not. But they always telling us that we got to support black. Be down with black, support black. I done heard that half of my life. If that was true, right, we should be in a better state, in a better place right now. But unfortunately, you know, like I said, because we still have to get by what I was addressing earlier, right? You guys know what the title is and things. And until we start to address that, understand that, get past that, stop being a victim. Is it black rage or is it victimhood? And we pretty much know where I'm slanting to is victimhood. Victimhood. Right? That's what we are. In order for us to get over black rage, we're going to have to come to some type of Jesus moment, depending on what religion you serve. But something's going to have to happen because we still are the people that have not learned how to love. We can't even go no iota. We can't go any further. We never learn how to love. And that's the most important thing. Love. Love. I have to call myself Tony Love. In fact, I think I am. No Diddy, but Tony Love, you know? Tony Love. They got a lot of love, you know? Yeah, they got a nice ring to it. I think I'm going to start doing that from now on in. Yeah, just call me Tony Love, you know? Yep, because I love talking about these type of topics because they are not addressed. They're not being talked about a bit in many forums, many rooms, many channels. They don't talk about this stuff. They teach you how to be a victim and to have you to rage out, crash out, right? That's what they want you to do. Get mad, get upset, riot, tear up your neighborhoods and all this other stuff. What has that got us? What have that gotten us? Nowhere, right? So until we can better control our emotions and get help for some of us that have mental illness, it's going to be another generation. What's the new one coming in? Which is not Gen Z, but Gen Alpha. Yeah, that's it. Gen Alpha. Look at Gen Alpha right now of blacks. What are they going to inherit? What are they going to have? What type of legacy they going to be handed down if we don't get this stuff taken care of? Telling you, brothers and sisters, man, we got a lot of problem internally in our own so-called neighborhoods. You know we don't have a community. This is facts. So until we address what is the problem for real, all this other stuff, people have been there and done it. It's just nothing but word salad to me because it doesn't get anywhere. We get down to the facts of what I'm talking about. Go back and listen to this stream when it become a video. Share it with other people once again and continuously listen to it. And bullet point something on the side. Take notes. Look it up. Study the parties for both of them. Don't be afraid. Look into a lot of things. Look at what's going on in the community. Look who the grifters are. You know they don't come in the hood. They're not building nothing in the hood. Come on now. They just there as emotional vampires. That's all they do. They can't give you nothing. Have you look around? I use Umar. A lot of y'all know who Dr. Umar Johnson is. The guy that said that he got all that money from his donors and couldn't promise a school. It was Umar Johnson was the trustee. Umar Johnson was the committee board. Umar Johnson handled the payroll. Umar Johnson was the manager. Umar Johnson answered the calls when he wanted to. Right? I'm just saying. Umar Johnson bought the properties. those abandoned buildings up there in Wilmington, Delaware, right? Umar Johnson have been grifting this money for over 10 years. And you got other blacks that have black schools. I'm not saying we don't at all, but I got to give them more kudos because at least the children are going somewhere and being educated. How many generations of people, they were looking for that school 10 years, 12 years ago? You know what I'm saying? They grown as fuck now. Excuse my French. I'm sorry about that. But they grown now. You know what I'm saying? And they still don't have no school. How many more generations, right? You too, LDS, man. Come back again too, man. I like where you're going from, man. Like I said, I like what you were saying, you know? Right? I like what you're saying. I like what you're saying. I like what a lot of people are saying, you know? I can't always say, you say, I'm sorry, we can't talk about a losing business, man. I can't do blah, blah. But yeah, that's all good, man. I mean, one thing about it is you're welcome to come in the room, man. But like I said, like I was saying before, LDSP, it's you personally before you go. And the reason why I'm bringing this up and the Trump thing and all that, because it proves my point of what I was talking about earlier about black men especially, right? We have to have a discipline and we have to get to a point of acceptance. My love for you as well as everybody else, right? Because this is what Jesus taught. It taught tolerance. And maybe you're not there right now, but you're going to have to come at some point in your life for tolerance, because I'm not trying to attack you, but I find that people that are emotionally charged, right, for over a damn president or whoever it is, I find that to be a very feminine trait. Sorry, it's nothing masculine about it. It is what it is. I'm just saying. And I say that for anybody else. Because when Joe Biden was the president, I didn't go on attack and went on attack of people about why you voted for Biden. I said the people are going to find out about him. But I'm using Trump as an example. And there's going to be some other things too I'm going to bring up. Because if it's emotionally triggering you, then you could have some of this post-traumatic stress coming from somewhere. That's a you issue, not me issue. I'm disciplined like that. I don't care what nobody vote. Ain't going to take me off my square. I'm still standing strong in my convictions and my beliefs, right? This is what it's about. But when you have what they call warring within yourself and no peace, and I get it. There's a lot of things I talk about why a lot of black men don't have peace. And then with something like Trump, it's like a time bomb. It's like stepping on a brother's shoes. It's the same thing. We have a low-level disrespect of each other, and we don't accept other people's viewpoints. That's why I say the cult type mentality. It's either going to be my way or the highway. You speak in absolutes. There's no absolutes. If you a believer or whatever, I would suggest to walk away, calm down, count down, because you're giving so much power to Trump, a man that doesn't impact your life per se. You should impact your life. I'm not going to give nobody no credit that be that much to impact my life. No way. So I'm going to end on that though, but I thank you guys, man, for listening to me, hearing what I have to say. We ain't got to agree on everything, and that's the beauty about it. It's called free will. You able to do what you want to do. Like I said, there's consequences so that you know. But I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm going to continue doing what I do. And if you don't like it, I mean, that's fine. That's your prerogative. That's your opinion about it. But when are we going to come together and say, hey, you know what? The brother is right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I appreciate you coming on though too. Tony said peace and love. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I like opposing viewpoints. But let's do it as gentlemen. Right? You got children. That's what I was telling that brother yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to mention his name no more. But I was we're supposed to be setting an example. We are the ones that's the elders now. We can't be over here talking this type of stuff and disrespecting each other. We cannot do this. We got to stop it and come to some type of acceptance of each other, whether what political party, what religion, whatever it is. If the person is a good person, you should be judging me off of merit. I didn't come over here talking about, MAGA, just raised the hoist, got my gun. You ain't part of Trump. I'm going to gun you down. You ain't heard me mention nothing like that. But this is what the left does. And I've got to say, you got to check yourself, man. Brothers, sisters, you got to check yourself. The party is not looking good on the left right now. It's going to keep it real. Far left wing. I'm not accusing you for say, or any of you for say, but if you don't look at that as strange, it goes into my point. Because not only that it's affecting black folks, we have a longer history of it because we have more of a traumatic experiences with post-slavery and so forth. Hangings, whippings, limbs being chopped off sometimes and so forth. These were things, man. It's generational trauma. Let's agree to that. It's generational trauma, man. Ain't no other group that I know of in America that have experienced and witnessed these atrocities, right? That were pushed on to a people, right? And we got to learn how to deal with that. Instead of some of y'all having more children this year, 2026, right? We got to stop the cycle of dysfunction and hatred amongst our own brethren. We have to stop it. We have to stop it. The killing have to stop, right? We have to stop it. People of the world been looking at us, and we are dubbed to be as the most violent. This is a fact. They're not going to tell you this because what is it? You still got the controlling left that's going to say, well, yeah, that's racist. No, it's a fact. You know it, I know it, and everybody else know it. That's why they don't want to be involved and have anything to do with us. Right? That's exactly what it is. What African do you know that is willing to rock with you unless if they need something? They have their own communities. Just go down there to Houston. Nigerian community, Guyanese, and all the rest of them. They don't mess with African-American people. And we ain't all from Africa anyway. We were already here. I'm just keeping it real. They don't rock with us like that. And one of the main reasons, because they still, I'm going to tell you something this before I really go. Africans have more of a community than we do. We used to be like that. They still have their history intact for the most part of it. And they have a community. And most African women get in line with their men. Right? That's the difference. Yeah, they didn't have they had slavery over there. But also, too, they still have their culture, which is through language. When you don't have language, you don't have no culture. Think about this, black man and woman. You think the English language is our culture? It's not. But we have to adopt it as our own. It's a subculture. But impress me if you know if you're native, or I should say not native, but Aborigines, American Indian, Choctaw, Chickasaw, right? Creek, Seminole, Cherokee, 5 civilized tribes. Impress me if you know any of those languages. Some do, because language is culture. When you don't have a culture, calling yourself black, black is not a race. It's the absence of color. It's not even a color. It's the absence of color. It's not identified to no type of landmass anywhere. This is why you were put on us. A lot of us was basically said the black day. They came around in the 60s with James Brown. That was done deliberate. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it louder. That was done deliberately to derail us from our birthplace, our birthright here in America. You will never get reparations if you keep talking about black. Black is not a race. Go look it up. Now, they might have put that in there, but it's not a race. It doesn't have nothing to do with nothing. Even an African know better to call himself an African. He called himself a Ghana, from Ghana, Ghananese, Senegalese. They know their landmass of where they are. Think about that. All this black talk, black stuff, got to stop it. All right, but so other than that, though, I appreciate y'all for coming on here or whatever. I've been trying to hit harder, though. I had some problems, as I said before. Man, that audio was trash. I really wanted to get into the Nicki Minaj thing, man. It was trash, man, on the audio. And once again, I apologize for that. This time, it's going to be quality and hitting like it is now. Do I have any type of videos I want to show you guys before I go? There I am coming up right here. Is it black rage or victimhood? You know, let me see here. Ilhan Umar, Trump. That's been a big topic. I already talked about some of that earlier. I'm not going to go into that right now because, you know, right now, until we start acknowledging issues and stuff like that, when I usually do this type of political stuff like that, emotionally, some people just do not have the fortitude right now or the discipline to be able to deal with that type of stuff, you know? Just don't. And that's a problem. Let me see here. That's Anton Daniels. Somalis in Minnesota are not scared. Things. You shouldn't be scared if you're not, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that's for any other ethnic race, you shouldn't be scared of ICE or any of this type of stuff. If you're over there scamming people and messing up and effing up, you should be very scared because they're not playing around. Whether you agree or not, I'm just saying, you know. And I already covered the Somali stuff already. I'm not going to do that anymore. But I like to be able to do some stuff a little differently, talk about more of our problems in our neighborhoods and stuff like that mentally, because this is a psychological mental trauma. As I mentioned before, post-traumatic stress, all the rest of this stuff. I don't think I see anything right now. This is all what's going on right now, though, you know. So I don't see anything that relates to what I'm talking about. Probably not. Because had I would have been a white man doing what I'm doing right now, they would have called me racist, right? That's for sure, man. That's for sure. It looks better coming from me anyway. I'd rather be somebody that look like us than somebody else anyway. That way, we could get to the point. If my voice resonate to you guys a little bit more, because like I said before, I grew up in the hood too. I know it. I grew up in an all predominantly black neighborhood, right? Didn't always speak like this and talk like this, right? I had to better myself due to one of my ex-girlfriends that worked with me and got me together with the speech and being able to articulate. These are the things that she encouraged me to do, you know? So shouts out to one of my exes, though. I ain't gonna say the name, but yeah, so that's basically what it is, though, you know? Look at that brother's face there in that pain, man. I was looking for something that reflect in regards to what is going on. I didn't want to put the sisters up there because they get enough of that stuff. I said, I got to put the brother up there this time, you know? Yep. So other than that, though, man, I appreciate y'all, man, coming on here and stuff like that. I'm looking at some of the comments and things. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to read through all of them, but I appreciate y'all for showing up and some of y'all showing out. You know what I'm saying? Not too much, though. But yeah, but other than that, I will see y'all on the next live stream that I do. I'm trying to think of what the next one is going to be. I talked about Venezuela a little earlier. I'm not going to go over that again. I encourage you guys to get ground news. Yeah, I suggest that you guys do that because with ground news, you get articles from the left, you get articles from the right, and you also get it from the center. And I like my journalism a little bit more neutral, right? But if I have to pick one or the other, you know, of course, I'm going to go right before I go left if I can't get it down the center, down the middle, right? So other than that, let me see here. Thought I had a call for a sneeze. All right. Wisconsin judge convicted of obstructing arrest, all right, of an immigrant resigns as the GOP threatens impeachment. This is in Wisconsin. Yeah, the F around and find out is growing, man. You know what I'm saying? So I always like talking about what's going on in the news before I really go. But this is one of my formats. I pull up ground news. I'm not sponsored. I suggest you guys look that up and do not allow the so-called mainstream media tell you otherwise. It takes great courage and responsibility to gather your news from other sources. This is what I'm suggesting that you do. This is why I stay informed as to what's really going on versus coming up with some type of fluff news media just try to push a liberal-based bias lies. I'm way beyond that. I watched enough news in the past and things like that, so I don't like my news censored and I don't want it filtered. Give me the news, damn it. Give me the news, right? That's all I ask for. But other than that, though, guys, I appreciate y'all, man. I'm glad that y'all was rocking with your boy today. Tony Love from Some Random Guy Speaks. Just call me Tony Love because I got a lot of love, you know. No Diddy, but I got a lot of love, you know, without the baby oil, you know. I let him have all that stuff. Without the baby oil. You know what I'm saying? Without the baby oil, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, hell no. Yeah, I'm good on that, though, man. Yeah, but y'all been good, man. And again, I'm going to say it again. Go back and listen to what I had to say earlier, because I'm not just talking. You know, I have a format and research stuff that I was talking about earlier, right? When we talk about the psychological PSD, mental illness coming from in our own community. And I would like to see more information and more discussions talking about this type of stuff. You know, we need to have that, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate y'all for being on something great once again. Oh, yeah, there's Howard. Boy, there's Howard. Boy, you finally show up in the building. You ladies, wait a moment, Howard. You know how I got to do it. Wait a moment. We got the great Howard in the house. Boy, Howard is entered the building. Just the truth and nothing but the truth. My brother Howard, man, what's going on with you, my brother? Boy, we got Howard in the house. Yeah, Howard, man, that audio I had yesterday, man, was trash and garbage, man. Oh, man, with that Nicki Minaj thing, man. Oh, it was horrible, man. So I went back and listened to it. Somebody told me, they said I was sounding like I was in a tin can. So I'm going to have to redo that. Man. Late, brother. Yeah, it's all good, though, Howard, man. It's all good. Just welcome to the party. There's no time. I ain't on no timer myself, man, but I try to bring the heat, bring what's really going on, man, and hopefully we'll come up with some solutions in regards to our plight. Nobody's going to tell our history. We are responsible for telling our history. That's one thing about it. If I'm going to be recorded in the fabric of time by having a podcast channel or a blog channel, I'm happy to be a part of history, man. That's all I got to say. I will be forever immortalized, though, right? For my generations to come when I'm long and gone, man. I catch the replay. Yeah, I think you're going to really like it. It's going to hit home, man. It's going to hit home. I'm going to say that. Some of us going to probably start tearing up because when you think about it, we don't have any trauma centers and any of this stuff. We're just passed off as being normal, left for half dead, right? That's exactly what it was, man. And we had to get it out the mud. We had to get it, right? And that's pretty much what it is. We didn't have a instruction book. We didn't come from generational wealth. Nobody hand down property, and nobody was really doing, back in those days, wasn't into stocks and crypto. They didn't have any of this stuff going on and things like that. So there's a lot of things that we didn't have, and wealth is inherited. That's another thing, right? If you ain't hitting on those 5 cylinders for building wealth, man, you setting your family up for the next generation of failure. And I'm going to talk about that one. In fact, You know what though, Howard? That's going to be a great topic of conversation. It's about wealth. I think that's what I'm going to do it. Generational wealth that black folks did not have. Now, little pockets they have, but we didn't have it as a group, right? And I believe that's going to be my next one, man. To explain why we are in the situation we are in now, right? Create your own path. This is America. Exactly. Now, I'm not saying this as a victimhood because we've been sold a phony bill of sale instead of expecting something, because we have to keep in mind, and it's going to trigger some of you guys, but look at what did Donald Trump daddy back in the turn of the century, 1940s, I believe, 30s or 40s. He was buying real estate in New York back in the days. You know, when people get in something, they get in investments before they start maturing, right? These are the things that they do. You got people that collect precious metals. You got other people that bought Bitcoin. Look where Bitcoin is worth now, right? These are things that they do for their family to set up generational wealth. But it has to start somewhere. Nobody gave these people nothing. And that's what they don't understand. When you've been sold false information from these grifters and all the rest of them, they don't talk about the people that come over in this country. Many of them work hard. They work nights and weekends. They do what is necessary for their children. And I would like to see blacks start to learn how to love so they can prioritize their children and build up what we call a generational wealth for the future to come. That's real love right there. Because your generation should not have to suffer very much. They should be able to build off of what you done already started. That's how it goes. And he ain't the only one. There's many of them. Wealth is measured in time, ladies and gentlemen. That's how it is. There's a big difference between rich and wealthy. A lot of your celebrities are what we call rich. These are your first generation rich folks, celebrities, right? And I include entertainers and all the rest of them. Somebody signed their check. Michael Jordan, somebody signed his check. Oprah Winfrey, somebody signed her check. You got to understand what I'm saying. The ones that broke that generational curse was Michael Jackson. Many of you know when he was out here buying catalogs when we didn't know what he was doing. He was doing this like when he learned it from he learned the game from Paul McCartney, and he's supposed to have swapped them or scooped them out of the Beatles because Paul McCartney was going to buy the Beatles. Michael came in there and bought the Beatles out from under him. And that's why they ain't no friends no more before he passed away. True story. Many of us know this story, right? Michael Jackson learned. He learned. Other than being a singer and an entertainer, you're just a slave. Even though they're making some money, but the industry, your sales drop, they can negotiate the contract and all the rest of the stuff. It's not generational wealth. You can't be a singer for years and then hand over the mic to your children. That ain't how that works. Wealth don't work that way. It's what you get when you have the money. You get into real estate, you get in things to set your generations up to for the future. And that's what we have not learned. And we still don't do that because we don't know how to love each other. And we have this mistrust and distrust of each other. That's the problem. It's the problem, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. This is exactly what it is. Howard says, I'm a retired career Army officer. Color ain't worth squat to us. It sure isn't. I got many people in the military. All that stuff, all that status, all that titles goes right out the window. You know you ain't lying. They don't give a damn about that. You belong to the government. They don't give a damn about your status or what you were out as a civilian. It doesn't exist internally in the military. Not at all. You know, you speaking facts though, Howard. They don't. So yeah, you really don't. Yeah, man. But this was a hard hitting one, man. It hit home though, Howard. I didn't really have too many people raging out on me and things like that. You know, but I think that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start doing another one on generational wealth and how we have to, because we still got time. You got next generations coming in. You still got time to prepare. What's it, Gen Alpha right now? Then you got Beta, right? Hey, you know what I'm saying? Howard says, did 20 years of it in the guards, got out to take over the family farm here in Iowa. Yeah, man. Howard, man, that's another one, man. You, Joe Mama, there's a few others. I got some farmers in here that rock with me. Man, you guys, man. And then you don't know her, but she used to come in the room. Sherry, you know, she's over here in Michigan like me. But I miss Sherry though, man. I'm gonna give Sherry her special. You know, I'm gonna have to try to look for Sherry. That's for Sherry though, ladies and gentlemen. She loves that. She's a farmer too, man. She has cows and let me see, cows and I forgot what else. She has those A2 cows over there. A2 cows, man. Howard knows about the A2 cow, you know. I buy that. She turned me on to the A2 cow milk, you know. A2 cows. Still lactose intolerant, still can't stomach it. But I like, you know, about the A2 cow, you know. Yeah, but shout out to the farmers once again. Feeding America, breadbasket capital of the world. Howard says, sweet cherry wine. That's what you're drinking on right now, Howard? You drinking on some sweet cherry wine? Yeah. Yeah, the only other person I heard mention that in their lyrics was, what's his name? Jermaine Stewart back in the 80s before he died of AIDS. You know? What's that song? You know Jermaine Stewart, right? Very, very popular. I think it was considered like a one-hit wonder. You know, it was just tragic how he died, man. For over 20 years, he had a headless tombstone, man. Oof, man. Yeah. Howard says, now made me think of Michigan. Yeah, man, we known for our cherries, man. Cherry wine is pretty prevalent here in Michigan, man. George Washington will be happy chopping down these cherry trees over here, man. He sure would. He have his little axe and his little wig on over here chopping down these cherry trees, man. You know? Yep. Enough. All right. But yeah, so yeah, man. So yeah, man. But I appreciate you coming on, man. You guys rocking out. I say I'm gonna give a little more longer for Howard as well, too, man. One of my road dogs here, you know. Yeah. Howard says Washington wet dream. Yeah, it sure was, man. He would love Michigan, man. We got like rows and rows of orchard of cherry trees, man. Apples too. Yeah, apples, man. We got apples, Honeycrisp, Macintosh. We have what other apples? We have the the Honeycrisp. I said. We have the Granny Smith apples here, man. We have Michigan guys home of apples, man. Apples, cherries, you know, right here in Michigan, man. What else do we have here? Those are some of the main ones. Cherry pie is very common around here, you know. Yep, cherry pie, you know. Hot apple cherry pie. Yeah, Howard says them lakes you have there are so clean. Yeah, man. They are oceans, man. It reminds me of looking at an ocean, man. Man, our lakes are huge. You know, Lake Superior is the largest lake in Michigan, man. We got 5 lakes, and Lake Superior is the biggest. That's where the old Edmund Fitzgerald sank, man, back in the 70s, man. Yeah, you probably wasn't around definitely to remember that one, though, you know. Yeah, the St. Edmund Fitzgerald, ladies and gentlemen. In those icy, watery grave, man. Damn, man. Ooh, that gotta be horrible, man. Dang it. Yeah, these boat disasters like the Titanic, man, boy, a lot of people, man, went down in that damn, boy. Yeah. But yeah, though, Howard, man, I've been not trying to knock it out the park, but I done finally got my audio set up right. I'm just using StreamYard. This is temporary, but I got my main one set back up now. So I believe I already did all the tests. This is this is how I'm sounding like I'm $1 million now. How do I sound, Howard? How my voice sound now? No distortions, got the volume set just right, I do believe. Howard says you can put the other 4 Great Lakes into the Lake Superior. It's true. You could put them all in Lake Superior. Lake Superior said we still got more room. Yeah. But Minnesota pride themselves well over 10,000 lakes. But I'm going to tell you what, there are 10,000 little lakes. You can put all of them in Lake Superior alone, man. We said we still take more. We got oceans around here. We don't call them lakes. We got oceans. It should be called the 5 Great Oceans. And they so they're big. I know they're lakes, man, but those things are huge, man. Huge. And Lake Superior do not give up their dead, man. Some of these lakes, man, they do not give up their dead, man. They do not give up their dead. Once you in there, you get caught in that undertow, it's a wrap. Yep. Howard says most lighthouses are in Michigan. Absolutely. We are the seaport where freights come through here, oil tankers. I see them all the time, and they come here, port. A lot of times they port right here, either in the Detroit area or Canada. Canada is nothing but on the other side of Detroit. I've been over there many times, man. They come right through the Detroit River. They just come through cruising. It's just something. See them all the time, man. They just pass through here, Yep. Navigating through the seas, being out there in many storms. Man, I couldn't be able to deal with that, though, Howard. That's why I couldn't be in the Navy, man. 2 reasons I wouldn't be in the Navy. That's one of the first ones. The second one, it's being in confined, tight areas around other men. No Diddy. But it'd be a lot of Diddy going on up in there, though. No wonder they call them seamen. Oh, I couldn't help to hold that one back. I couldn't help but hold. No disrespect to my Navy people, man. No disrespect to my Navy people, man. I'm just saying. Oh, man. That's wrong, Tony. Wrong, boy. But yeah, man, I'm about to get on out of here, though, Howard, man. I got to get out here and get it how I live, man. I got to make a living, Howard says, I was stationed at Selfridge. Oh, you were? I know where that is. For a year. Got my site correction done in Windsor. Man, I've been, how many times? I got friends in Windsor right now. I dated a lot of those Canadian honeys in there. No matter what Umar Johnson said, I was over there. That's right. But yeah, man, I know exactly where you are. I know it very well, my brother. I do, man. I know. Yeah, you was here in Michigan for a minute. Check you out, boy. Yeah, I don't know if you know, Howard, but they built another bridge. It's called the Gordie Howe Bridge. We got another expansion bridge, coming from Canada into the U.S. And I hear with this bridge, you can bicycle over there. You can walk over there. It's a beautiful thing, man. We got a bridge now. Yeah, you can pull it up on the Google. The Gordie Howe Bridge. And for the rest of you can pull it up as well. Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey. Boy, Gordie Howe Bridge. You can pull it up. But other than that, man, I appreciate you guys so much. Yep. Took in some Tiger games. Bad area. How long ago was this, Howard, when you took in the Tigers game? How long ago was this when you seen the Detroit Tigers? I'm curious. Yep, that's our baseball team, the Tigers. Yeah. How long ago was that you've been there? Oh, that was back in '05. It changed a whole lot, Howard. It's the Comerica Ballpark, man. Man, it ain't nothing like how you remember it a long time ago, man. A lot has changed, though, Howard. Yeah, Howard, a lot has changed, man. It's looking so good now, downtown Detroit. It's looking very, very good, my brother. Mm-hmm. Looking very, very good. I went to a Tigers game back in what was that, 2023. Cabrera, yeah, Cabrera was playing. This was his last game ever before he was going to retire and things. And at the time, he just turned 40 too. And yeah, it was nice, man. It was my friend's brother-in-law and them, where they had a suite over there, man. He invited me out, good friend of mine. So I had a chance, the first time ever going. I've been to Comerica Ballpark before, but that was my first time in a suite. Man, they had food and everything, man. But all the action is outside at the stadium, though, too, you know. You guys get a chance, y'all must come and visit Detroit, man. A lot has changed. I'm talking about downtown. Then there's some other areas you do not, you ain't from there. I would not suggest, yeah. And as an Uber driver, I grew up on the west side of Detroit. West side. I grew up on the west side of Detroit. So it's not something in certain areas that you definitely don't want to be messing around in. If you're downtown Detroit, it's good. It's all good. It's all good. And I'm not proud to say that. I wish I could say, yeah, all of Detroit, you're gonna enjoy it. But no, every place got its bad side, Would not recommend, I'm a Royals fan. Oh yeah, you are? Okay, that makes sense. A Royals fan. Okay. So I go when they came to Detroit. One of these days, Howard, man, you gotta let me know when you come in Detroit, man. And if you don't mind the company, I may have to go down and accompany you together to a Tigers game, man. Hanging out at the Tigers game, Then we'll go get some good eats in Detroit, because this a foodie place here, man. That way you could try some of that good old delicious 313 style Detroit pizza, man. Yep, it's a powerhouse between New York and Chicago, I must say. We smack dab in the middle, not too thick, not too thin. Detroit style pizza, Yep, Jets is pretty good. But I know some other places that rival Jets a little bit, but I like Jets. No taking away from Jets. You got Buddy's Pizza. In fact, we may just go to Buddy's. Tony's or Buddy's, one of the two. We're going to get us some Detroit style pizza. And Buddy's is downtown as well, though, We ain't got to leave outside of downtown Detroit, where it's nice and safe. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, yeah, man. Yep. They got these things called Coney Islands around here too. It's nothing more than a diner, but they sell the chili cheese fries and the hot dogs, Coney dogs, loose burgers, which is ground meat, onion, and mustard on a bun. It's called a loose burger. It's very popular, right? You get French fries, melted cheese, and ketchup, right? That is called Detroit style classic chili cheese fries. Guaranteed to jack your system up, but great for those weekend going out to the club or the bar and you want some of that grease to soak up some of that alcohol. That would be the place to go. I suggest if you don't have a White Castle, do not go to White Castle, because you're going to be gassed up. Yeah, your wife will want a divorce, because you're going to be, what is going on? Why am I so gassy? Right? Howard says, I want some of that lake trout. Oh, yeah, we got you covered, man. I know a couple of places that we can go where they have delicious lake trout, mussels. I love mussels, but I love the lake fish too. We got orange roughy, lake trout. We got bass. Sea bass, we don't have the sea bass, but we have white bass, big mouth bass, and things, yeah, we got that. Yeah, lake trout, rainbow trout, pretty little trout. They dive right in and dive right out, Yeah, we got a lot of that. We also got We also got, walleye. I was going to say that. We have walleye too. Delicious tasting fish. Oh, I love some walleye, From here to Canada, boy, we got some good walleye, This is another fish. People go, we got some great, excellent fishing holes here in Detroit too. It's known, besides golf, we got some great greens out here if you're a golfer. And we got great places where you can actually go and fish. We got wonderful fishing holes here. Some of the pristine waters, calm, up early in the morning, out there on your boat or on the dock, man. One of the two, man. Just out there, the man and his fishing rod, man. Total peace, 5 a.m. in the morning when they are biting, Boy, I tell you, I fish. I got a fishing rod. It's been a while since I went fishing, Howard. But yeah, man. Yeah, man. But we got those crappies. We got lake perch. I don't like ocean perch. We got plenty of that here, but I like lake perch. Lake perch. They're little small little guys though, man, but they're very tasty. You got to get a lot of them. I love smelt too, man. Smelt. Howard says, we have walleye here. Love it, but it's rare for me to eat lake trout. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, we got rainbow trout. We got all kind of colored trout, Oh, yeah. So when you come here, you can enjoy yourself. We have a good meal, getting us some trout. So hopefully this will encourage more of you when y'all come and visit Detroit. It's just getting better and better, man, You can, depending on what time of year you come, I suggest that if you come, because, by the way, though, how we have the auto show. That's going to be the 14th, I believe. And I used to go to the auto show for years, man. But Detroit gets cold, man, because we're surrounded by 5 major lakes. So we get the lake effect all the time, man. Wind chill, cold, frigid weather. I suggest you don't want to come around this time of year. You want to do Detroit, come earlier, come sooner, but that ain't what you want. Howard says, we have walleye here. Love it, but it's rare for me to eat lake trout. Yeah, I know that's right. I read that already. Yeah, man. So that's exactly what it is, man. I know some places that sell that, man. I mean, we got all kind of fish. We even got buffalo. Old school love buffalo, man. They love buffalo. Too many bones, though. I don't like a bony fish. You know what I'm saying, Howard? I do not like a bony fish, man. A fish that got too many bones is looking for trouble. How much bread you going to have to eat? So you don't have to, Yeah, so like with my problem with red snappers, too bony. Red flounder, too. Flounder got a lot of bones in it. But if you know how to fillet, Howard, you look like a guy sound like a guy that knows how to fillet fish. If you got a good fillet knife and know how to fillet, because you shouldn't run across bones like that, though. That's an issue. Choking issue, Yeah. Let's see. Howard says, all right now, wife is ringing the dinner bell. I know that's right, man. Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna have to get myself one of those wives or whatever like that, man. It's just a different time now, man. But other than that, I'm working on it. One day when I better announce the missus on the mic, it's gonna be all good, Yep. But Howard, I appreciate you for showing up. You didn't have to kick nobody out and put nobody out. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I appreciate it. And everybody else too. I appreciate your kindness. Just listening. Yeah, I do. All right. Later, my friend. All right, Howard. Later, my friend as well, man. I'm looking forward to Howard coming to Detroit and any of you coming to Detroit, Yeah, that's it's a beautiful thing. But I'm way overdue. I got to get myself ready for work, but I appreciate you all, man, for coming on Some Random Guy Speaks. I am your host, Tony Love. Tony Love in his house, though, for real. But we knocked this one out the park. I was able to get all my talking points out the way, read some comments. And for those I didn't get a chance to read your comments, I apologize about that, but I will and I shall return and come back reading a little bit more of the comments, man, and things. I got to do something with this small print. trying to read these comments and stuff. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, au revoir, take care, and sayonara. I am out. Peace and chicken grease. I see y'all tomorrow and things where we'll discover, you already know, we're going to talk about we're going to talk about generational wealth, understanding the money system generationally, right? All right, you guys don't want to miss that one. I'm going to try to be posting it sometime around noon or so, but stay square, stay there or be square, what as they said. I'm out. Peace.